You are listening to Rouge Radio, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
It's time to get the point as Rouge Radio is ready to kick off.
Ready!
The best football talk with the best in the business.
So what is the cost? You have 2 first-round picks this year because the Argos were dumb enough to trade for Drew Willie.
A few rookies.
We go directly to the on-field product. We welcome to the show the 20th overall pick in this past Sunday's CFL draft, DeAndre Wright of the Alouettes. DeAndre, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
And the occasional Hall of Famer.
Please welcome Doug Brown, who is one of the members of the current class of 2016 in the CFL Hall of Fame. Doug, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thank you guys for the kind words and for having me on the program.
Rouge Radio is on the air. Here's your hosts, Robert Dalton and Tony Allen.
We are back for another edition of the Rouge Radio podcast, episode 522, powered by the Canadian Football Podcast Network. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm a little bit more clear because I figured out how to mess with the settings. And if you just tuned in now on YouTube, you can see that Tony's doing some homework.
Always taking notes.
Looks like you're doing stuff. Yeah, always taking notes.
Oh, I'm all constantly taking notes.
On this week's show, we obviously are going to, if you just tune in randomly, you don't know what we're talking about. But if you looked at the details of the podcast, you would know we are previewing the 2025 British Columbia Lions. But first off, this podcast is sponsored by the good people at Manscaped. I think we should get our booth announcer here.
Rouge Radio is sponsored by Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com and enter Rouge as a promo code. You get 20% off and free worldwide shipping. Go to Manscaped. Well, your balls, they will thank you.
No matter how many times I say that or that comes out of the booth announcers, that sounds creepy. Creepy as you know what. Before we get in, Tony, how's life? You got the Medicine Hat Tigers shirt on. You excited for what possibly could be the eventual chokehold of the series?
I hope so. Can't stay out of the penalty box. No Gavin McKenna, though. Greatest player in junior hockey right now. Caden Lidstrom out today, too. He's just back. 4th overall pick in last summer's NHL draft. If you follow hockey and the name seems familiar, Columbus Blue Jackets picked him at 4 overall. But he's out. So we're tied 1-1, and a flipping Tigers can't stay out of the penalty box right now. But we need to win. We win this one, 3-1 series, stranglehold. And, well, the Medicine Hat Tigers have only lost 4 games since the year turned 2025. So January 4th, we've only lost 4 games. So if we can win this one and go up 3-1, it'd be difficult to see a world where the Tigers lose 3 games in a row after losing only 4 since the calendar year started. So fingers crossed. I don't get cocky, and this is my horrible playoff beard. This is you can tell I'm not living at home with my wife right now, or this wouldn't exist. This is my camp beard. When I go to camp, I can have facial hair, so that's what's going on. And that I mentioned at camp, on my camp again, you'll see. And thankfully, this is big for me that I've been sitting on for a while. Couldn't announce it, but this will be the last time we ever do this show with me on the road at a camp, because starting a new career, going to go railroading, be a train conductor. Pretty excited, giving up the electrical world, and it's been an interesting ride, but definitely a terrifying change too at 48 years old, starting a whole other career. But it's one that's going to keep me at home, so I can finally be at home watching football games, doing regular podcasts at home with a nice setup and not just on my iPhone, as you can see, in a camp room where the internet barely holds. So we'll see how that goes.
Looks good so far. But I noticed you've got the whole Lemmy from Motorhead. I really want to go into some. I mean, large majority of our podcast listeners they know some Motorhead from the 90s. Good chunk of us know Motorhead from his entrance music for some WWE superstars. We never talked about this, but we just found out that about the turn of the calendar year? You just found out that the WWE Network is on Netflix.
Oh, yes. Yeah, someone brought that to my attention. It's been a couple months now, and did I ever just overdose on WrestleManias and like 1, 2, and 3, like going back to when I was a kid, like, and it's so weird because like I remember like WrestleMania 2. Like I remember going to school so jacked because I was like, I loved wrestling more than anything when I was a kid. Like I liked it more than hockey, more than football. To me, the greatest sport in the world was WWE, at the time WWF wrestling, and I didn't want to rush into it, but I was excited to get to it. Was the Steamboat Savage Intercontinental Championship match. And when I finally got to the WrestleMania 3 for that one, oh my gosh, that match was just as amazing as I remembered it. When I eventually got to watch it on VHS that I rented from my local video store, because you couldn't get pay-per-views when those were out. You had to wait, and it was pretty crazy. But yeah, I loved wrestling. I love those guys, and it was fantastic going back, watching all those WrestleManias and the original Survivor Series, how it entered just the 5-man tag team, and when you're pinned, you're eliminated. Like, watched it with my boys too. My daughter wasn't interested, so that's not a sexist thing. I didn't watch it with my boys because they're boys, but those were the only 2 of my 3 children that wanted to watch it, because my daughter, she tried the Hogan Bundy WrestleMania 2 match until Bundy got busted open, and then she was done.
That's the worst match to get to. I mean, obviously, as a kid, you were like a huge Hogan fan, whether or not he was your favorite or not. It was still like that was your guy, but that was a horrible match. Like looking back at it, oh man, it was just bad.
Yeah, it was a sloppy match. It was like, I don't even know if they talked that one over before they started, but yeah, it was definitely a nice trip down memory lane to see all those old wrestlers, and it was a good time.
I'll see if because you and I had this conversation, the best WrestleMania match. You brought up Hogan, or not Hogan, Steamboat Savage. I brought up Austin and Brett from 15. Have I changed your mind?
I haven't got to it yet. Actually, I've gotten with the new job starting and the Tigers being in the playoffs, I literally just do onboarding and hiring process for my new job here and Tigers hockey. So I have no life outside of, my work stuff. But once I get back home, I have a week off as I transition between jobs. That's when I go back in and do a lot of those WrestleManias. The other one was Flair Michaels. That's a popular one too. Like when I have a buddy that's still hardcore into wrestling, and he's like, wait till you get to that one. That is the greatest WrestleMania ever match.
Yeah, I think I feel because it's always based on the pay-per-view. If the pay-per-view sucks, the match of its quality doesn't get as much fanfare. But enough about
now I'm hearing WrestleManias are like 2-day events, and I don't think I'd be into that.
Well, that happened because of COVID. Like
really?
They realized, holy crap, this is actually a good thing. Let's keep this going. And eventually, I think what they're going to do, SummerSlam is now going to be, which I think is a horrible idea. But again, that's just me. How about we get to talk some football?
Yes, we talked about I want to talk football, but I'm also excited to get back to this hockey game. But right now, laser focused on the BC Lions.
Yeah, there we go. All right, the BC Lions coming into the 2025 season. Last year they finished 9-9 and lost the Western semifinal. Gone Vernon Adams Jr., Alex Hollins, William Stanback, Manny Rugamba, and TJ Lee. And the sneaky additions here, we've got Dijon Allen, James Butler, Mika Awe, Dwayne Hardrick, DeAndre Williams, and Jeremiah Mazzoli. Now, I know that there's well, first off, can we talk about Amar Doman?
Yes.
Really, 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 just being the standard of CFL owners. And right now, as has just been his president in the last few years, has a first class opening season or opening day concert. This one, is announced. The headliner is Snoop Dogg. I don't want to do any Snoop Dogg impersonations, but it isn't ironic because that Snoop Dogg is notorious for getting high, which I think there's going to be a lot of BC Lions that have already gone into, what did we call it last week? The Devil's Lettuce.
Yes.
That have gotten into the Devil's Lettuce because there's been a lot of BC Lions fans that are predicting a top 2 finish, and I just don't see that happening this year. Again, first off, your thoughts on the BC Lions in 2025.
Okay, initial thoughts is I think BC is going to be. I think it's 2025 is going to be a push for the BC Lions in my book. I don't think they get better. I don't think they get worse. I think it's just going to be another status quo from last year kind of season. I would love to see Nathan Rourke get back to where he was when I basically fell in love with him 3 years ago, and I couldn't get enough. I even have my Nathan Rourke jersey, thanks to one listener in particular, Dave. Thanks. I still cherish my Nathan Rourke jersey, although it does bring back again some bad memories of how horrible I was at Riders fan. I don't know if you remember that story I told after I went to the Riders, and I just every now and then I love that jersey. I want to wear it because I'm like, man, I was such a horrible human being to that Riders fan. Like, I was everything I accused Rider fans of being. But that aside, I really hope an amazing season. I would love to see him. And again, as much as I'm a Stampeders fan, I would love to see him be what we were hoping he was going to be before he went to the NFL. And I still hate that. I understand it and I respect it. And he shouldn't have not tried. I just wish he would have just built with the momentum when he was in Canada with the CFL, how much hype he had. And again, he was right for doing it. But me, on a personal note, because I was a fan of him, I feel like it lost something away from him. So we'll see if we can get back to it. And sorry about that. Just interrupted on my phone. That's again the trouble of doing everything on one device, because I forgot everything when I brought it out. But yeah, so it's I wish he could get back to where he was. And the team as a whole, I like some of those additions. I always still has something to bring to a team in 2025, and but I really don't see them taking a gigantic step forward.
Yeah, I think, I kind of agree with you on that one. To me, the biggest issue, or the biggest thing is who's behind, who's leading the troops on the sidelines. It's not Rick Campbell, it's Buck Pierce, and this is going to be interesting to see, how Buck Pierce handles the notoriety of being a offensive guru, leading his team to 5 straight Grey Cup appearances, winning 2 of them. And how is that going to translate to being a captain on the sidelines as opposed to just a signal caller? And Buck Pierce is a guy that players wanted to play for when he was a player. It is going to be interesting to see how that translates as far as, do they want to play for him as a coach? Brings probably the same mentality as the guy who managed him in Winnipeg in Mike O'Shea. So I am interested to see how that translates. You got a prediction or any final thoughts before I go forward?
9-9, same as last year, just flat across.
It's very mid. Like, I don't hate what BC did in the offseason. I really don't. I just never was a big fan. Like, what they did in the offseason, to me, just wasn't enough because I had them finishing last year 9-9, or at least I think I did. And they finished 9-9. They got rid of in my opinion, their better quarterback in Vernon Adams, who worked wonders in that system. It's a completely new system now. It's a system where now probably that's going to be heavily reliable on the run now, which is great for BC Lions fans, in my opinion. I think BC is really going to love the ground game at home with a roof. Not too sure that the running game is as important, just because of, through the air, and it's a little bit more easier to have that aerial attack in a dome as opposed to in natural atmosphere in the normal other CFL stadiums. But I think, in my opinion, it's the moves that they made were good, just not good enough. And I think that is just. I want to say some good and better things because you and I are both big fans of Nathan Rourke, and it's not that he's on a downward spiral. He's just a quarterback right now. He's not the quarterback, and a lot of people are saying, he's going to have a full offseason to train. He was training in the offseason last year on the practice squad. Like that's regular season type training, and then he just jumps. I don't buy that he needs a full offseason. I think, if anything, the time spent with an NFL squad probably is more detrimental than the actual practice itself. But I don't think that's it, because it was only gone for 1 year. To me, I think it's just a lot of people are just reaching for excuses. Not saying he's horrible, not saying he's bad, because he had some gems, but he also had some stinkers after his return last year. Defensively, I think that BC is still going to be in the group of why can't we stop the run like we couldn't stop the last couple of years, and I think that's going to be really their downfall, and it's going to be hard to really depend on this offense to carry the ball, so to speak, no pun intended, when your defense is allowing more touchdowns more often. So I like your 9-9. I'm actually going to take them to get a step back. I have the BC Lions in fourth, sitting 8-10 in the West. I guess that'll do it. That's it for us this week.
Quick.
Yeah. Next week we will be focusing on the Montreal Alouettes, the East leading Montreal Alouettes. And guess what, Tony? We are within a week of CFL action. It's preseason. It still counts as CFL action, and I cannot wait. I think it's early next week, Monday, I believe, as we're recording this on Wednesday, May 14th, 2000.
And we just make some outrageous predictions too, because all bets are off in preseason.
I don't even know who's playing, and I'm willing to bet that it's going to be a rout for the home team, just because that's the home team always dresses has the ridiculous roster decision. They have all their starting rosters available to start the first half, and then they get out to like a 20-point lead, and then all bets are off because they start throwing in their backups. Meanwhile, the other team doesn't make any kind of roster changes, but they still have backups. It's like the backups to the backups, and so it makes
guys from the University of Yamakra or something ridiculous in the South States.
Yeah, some guy who played Division 10 football. Yeah. I don't even know if that's a thing. I know it's not a thing, but it's like the likely scenario.
Yeah, next week, kicker from North Rotten Crotch, Scotland.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this week. Again, we are partnered with the good people at Sports Interaction. Go to sportsia.com/rouge. Your first deposit will be matched up to 100%. And again, it's not only for the CFL season. We got playoffs. We got two rounds, 2.5 rounds, depending on what team you cheer for, left in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And you could definitely use some easy bets, because some people are predicting that certain Canadian teams' season will be ending tomorrow, and I'm one of them. For Tony, I'm Dalts. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.